The Tiger 59 is a tier 8 premium, and another reminder that the British have lost their desire and effort at building warships after their capital ships gets completely humiliated by the German and their new eastern friend. To show you the severity on how pointless this ship were, it's a 1940 design, launched in 1945, and took 15 years to finish, only to do absolutely nothing. It's so useless they have to convert it into a carrier before they threw the towel. This translates well into the game, where it has zero reason to exist, and it has the numbers to back that up. 0 torpedoes, 4 guns, 25mm of plating, and 30 knot speed, which totals to 59 reasons why you should get the Atago instead. However, the almighty spreadsheet shows that this ship is doing alright. It's even 4th place in average win rate, and gets better once you filter out the majority. Checkmate naysayers. So, how does these special kind of people manage to prevent the ship from receiving buffs at all? Starting off by addressing the primary reason why this ship bothers just about everyone. It only has 4 guns. This is the same gun found on the Drunken Master, which is a great gun by itself with an impressive reload, DPM, and improved auto bounce, but having only 4 of them takes a lot of convincing, especially for a cruiser. Wargaming tries to mitigate this real-life handicap by giving it impossibly high accuracy, capable of fusing shells together, and laser guidance to a very lucky person that were trying to become a team player. But for the sake of finding all the flaws, let's assume we are all exceptionally good at hitting ships consistently with only 4 guns. You still have to show lots of broadside to not lose half the DPM. And this is 83 reasons why it's a big problem. You think the Edinburgh explodes easily. You haven't seen anything yet. This junk has one of the worst belt armor in the game. That sits high above the waterline. This simple comparison should be enough proof that the biggest joke in British history has always been themselves. As an example, it can't even shatter AP from a destroyer, not to mention high penetrating HE and SAP. These are the HE shells that can penetrate the Edinburgh Citadel, and these are HE shells that can penetrate the Tiger 59.
Okay, well the
But in return, it gets 25mm of bow and stern plating, making it the only British light cruiser in the game that can bounce 305mm shells from the most boring ship in the game. Unfortunately, that's pretty much the only armor gimmick that matters, because 90% of the time it will face ships that can actually f it up. No matter how good you are at dodging, anything will eventually touch that easy to hit citadel that still can't be compensated by the specialized repair party, and even if they miss the citadel, you still take damage from that absurdly big post-war superstructure. Despite that, I do not see this as a problem. Other light cruisers have this issue as well, but unlike the Tiger 59, those other cruisers have something that makes up for their vulnerability, such as burst damage, raw DPM, speed, and self-defense armament like torpedoes, none of which are present on the Tiger 59. And yes, this is one of the slowest tier 8 cruiser. Are you happy now? This leaves the consumables to carry this otherwise undergunned cannon fodder, and would you look at that, smoke and radar in separate consumable slot, to punish the weakest class in the game without any counterplay, the combination that everyone hates, but secretly wanted. Now available on European destroyers because in practice, nobody gives a damn about power creep. This ship is no longer useful. Video ends here.
It's Jover.
I really hate this ship, which is why we are gonna talk even more about it. We have established that the ship is heavily dependent on consistent aim, incredibly high luck, and incredibly dumb enemy to perform at all. If any of this is absent, you're gonna go through one hell of a game. To land your shells consistently, you aim as usual, but while doing this, you also pay attention to the mini-map on the needle that shows the heading of said enemy ship. This eliminates the visual lag you get on determining how much vertical lead needed to land those floaty shells. This is on top of needing to constantly update your lead for every shot. There is no breathing room if you want to maximize the DPM. Other cruisers with longer reload but vastly higher shell volume has the overall advantage of not needing to put this much effort on landing their shells. And remember, it has no HE shells to farm damage, so when you face someone who is angled.
Alright, God save the Queen, man.
But if you are really good at noticing body language, you can use the never-ending stream of AP shells as a tactical advantage. By constantly shooting, you are forcing them to choose between angling towards you or against your team. If you manage to catch them in such situation, you did the right thing. This is also often the correct time to smoke up and farm as much damage as you could, but be careful against suicidal enemy. They may or may not know that you don't have torpedoes, but with nothing to lose and seeing your pitiful damage output, they simply do not care. Shooting them is now the easy part. The real challenge comes when you need to decide what ship you want to fight, and knowing if focusing said ship will give your team the edge to win the game. Should you hunt the destroyer that you fail to kill, or farm a broadside battleship that you can't reliably penetrate? As you can see, this gets complicated quickly. The solution is to play for the objective, but do it independently from the team. If you see a cap, you take it, and use radar to drive away enemy destroyer. If you manage to kill said destroyer, you owe Wargaming a favor for putting stupid players on the enemy team. Once you secured a cap, you go to another cap. This time you will approach from a very inconvenient angle to the enemy, killing whoever that wants to play the objective, becoming the one preventing them from accomplishing anything at all. This is the true purpose of the ship, a background character that pulls the string without being too obvious about it, probably because you'll be spending most of the time inside the smoke dealing chip damage. Eventually, the damage will add up, but only if you still have teammates for distraction. Again, without HE and shell volume, you will have a hard time trying to single out a half decent player, and believe me, it is very easy to counter the Tiger 59. When most other ship becomes stronger as the game progresses, the Tiger 59 is the complete opposite. You must capitalize the first 5 to 10 minutes to pull off plays that increases the odds of winning. If you don't want to fight an uphill battle, and don't be concerned with steamrolls, because it doesn't have the damage output. Stay near the cap, inside, and in between them. You make the game so annoyingly hard for the enemy to continue. They will start making mistakes faster than your teammates, which will further improve your chance of having a good game. But don't get carried away with the desire on becoming a team player, and get overwhelmed with too many things happening at once. Again, you must use a lot of brain capacity to get the ship working as intended, and to wrap it all off, it doesn't have hydro. This is helpful, so you can further practice your torpedo dodging skills. This is how you play the Tiger King. You take last stand, focus fire training, superintendent, and concealment expert, then take top grade gunner, radio location, and finally adrenaline rush. For the upgrades you get main armament 1, engine room protection, aiming system, steering gears, and your choice between concealment or steering gears 3. The Tiger 59 is the best ship to test how good you are in this game. By providing high-risk gameplay, punishing the smallest mistakes, limited offensive capabilities, and demands more effort than what's necessary, it's definitely a cup of tea worth dying for.
World of Warships,
the thinking man's action game.
If you're crazy enough to buy this ship and actually perform well, you have joined the ranks of extraordinary individuals who can squeeze any ship to their full potential and make it statistically balanced with other premiums. It's not even the top 50% of players that made it possible. It's quite literally the entire Tiger 59 player base. But if you do not perform well, I hope you already see it coming. You need to acknowledge the fact that there are countless other premiums that works better, without having to sweat so hard when doing trivial things such as aiming. The Tiger 59 is hard work and no real reward, just like working in real life, and just like receiving copyright strikes on your YouTube videos. This is a game, not a chore. Leave the difficult stuff such as reviewing crappy ships to people like me. So don't go out there giving free dopamine for the enemy team using your new tier 6 premium that costs as much as a tier 8. But you do you. Perhaps you seek new challenges because everything else in the game has gotten boring. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and you can achieve it by throwing away conventional wisdom.
yeah!
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.